The kiss lasted 3 seconds, just long enough for Esther to realize the comatose patient's lips were moving against hers. Then his hand clamped around her throat, not choking but claiming, and Jin Woo-jin's eyes opened with the intensity of a man who'd been screaming in silence for 3 years. "Did you really think I was asleep?" His voice was raw, unused, dangerous. "I've been watching you, listening to you, falling for you, and now you're going to help me destroy everyone who put me here." Welcome to K-Stories by Aurora. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. Also tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Let's dive in. The fluorescent lights of Sacred Heart Hospital flickered at 2:47 a.m., casting shadows across room 304 where Jin Woo-jin had lain motionless for 3 years, 2 months, and 16 days. Esther counted. She always counted. Her rubber-soled shoes squeaked against the linoleum as she pushed her cleaning cart past the ICU wing, exhaustion weighing down her shoulders like invisible chains. 12 hours into her shift. 4 more to go. The same routine she'd endured for 23 months now, mopping floors, changing bedding, emptying waste bins while doctors and nurses barely acknowledged her existence. She paused outside room 304, her hand hovering over the door handle. "Don't do it. Don't go in there." But she did. She always did. The room smelled of antiseptic and something else, something expensive, like cedar and rain. The machines hummed their mechanical lullaby, monitoring a life that existed somewhere between living and dying. Esther stepped inside, letting the door whisper shut behind her. There he lay. Jin Woo-jin. Even in unconsciousness, he commanded attention. Sharp jawline. Dark hair swept back from a face that belonged on magazine covers, not hospital beds. The white sheets couldn't diminish the breadth of his shoulders, the latent power in his frame. 3 years of muscle atrophy should have ravaged him, but somehow he looked like a sleeping god waiting to wake. "Hey," Esther whispered, approaching his bedside. "It's me again." Silence, just the rhythmic beep of the heart monitor. She'd started talking to him 6 months ago, during one of those endless night shifts when loneliness felt like a physical ache. No one else visited anymore. Not after the first year. The expensive flower arrangements had stopped coming. The private security detail had dwindled to nothing. Even the mysterious woman in designer clothes, his sister, maybe, or lover, had stopped appearing. Everyone had given up on Jin Woo-jin. Everyone except Esther. "I got rejected from nursing school again," she said, sinking into the chair beside his bed. Her fingers absently straightened his blanket. "3rd time, can you believe it? Maybe I'm just fooling myself. Maybe I'm supposed to be a hospital aide forever, cleaning up after people who actually matter." The words tasted bitter. She was 26 years old with $47,000 in medical debt from her mother's cancer treatment, cancer that had taken her anyway. Her studio apartment had mold in the bathroom. She ate ramen 4 nights a week, and every rejection let her felt like the universe confirming what she'd always suspected. She wasn't enough. "You know what the worst part is?" Esther's voice cracked. "I'm so tired of being invisible, of being nothing." Her eyes burned with unshed tears. Without thinking, she reached out and touched his hand. His skin was warm, always warm despite the years of stillness. The medical team called it a mystery, how his body maintained such vitality without consciousness. Unexplained, they said. Unprecedented. Esther knew the truth, though she'd never spoken it aloud. She felt connected to him. From that very first night, she'd wandered into his room, drawn by some inexplicable pull. His presence soothed something broken inside her. "I shouldn't be here," she whispered, but she didn't let go of his hand. "They'd fire me if they knew, but you're the only person who listens without judging, the only person who makes me feel less alone." The machines beeped steadily. Esther studied his face, the strong brow, the full lips, the slight scar above his left eyebrow that made her wonder about his story. Who had he been before the coma? What had stolen 3 years of his life? "I wish you could hear me," she said softly. "I wish." She trailed off, feeling foolish. But exhaustion and loneliness formed a dangerous cocktail, loosening her inhibitions. Before rational thought could intervene, Esther leaned forward, her heart hammering against her ribs. Just once, just to know what it feels like to kiss someone beautiful. Her lips brushed his. Soft, gentle, achingly tender. For 3 heartbeats, nothing happened. Then, Jin Woo-jin's hand shot up, fingers threading through her hair with iron strength. His eyes snapped open, dark, intense, alive, and he pulled her closer, deepening the kiss with a hunger that stole her breath. Esther gasped against his mouth, trying to pull back, but his grip was unyielding. His other hand curved around her waist, holding her captive as he kissed her like a man starving for oxygen. When he finally released her, she stumbled backward, chest heaving, lips swollen. "Oh my God," she breathed. "Oh my God, you're awake." His voice was rough, unused, but carried an authority that made her spine straighten involuntarily. "I'm awake." "I'll get the doctor." "No," the single word cracked like a whip, his dark eyes locked onto hers with predatory focus. "Stay." Esther froze, caught between professional duty and the magnetic pull of his gaze. "You've been in a coma for 3 years. I need to." "I know exactly how long it's been." Jin Woo-jin sat up slowly, pulling IV lines from his arms with casual disregard. 3 years, 2 months, 16 days, every single one. The way he said it made ice crawl down her spine. "What do you mean?" His smile was dark, dangerous. "I mean I was conscious, Esther, the entire time." The room tilted. That's impossible." "Is it?" He swung his legs over the side of the bed, movements controlled despite 3 years of immobility, muscle memory responding as if he'd merely been sleeping. "I heard every conversation, felt every touch, existed in a prison of my own body, screaming without sound." Horror washed over her. "The things I said. I heard them all." His gaze intensified. "Every word, every confession, every lonely night you sat beside me thinking you were talking to yourself." Esther's face burned, the intimate thoughts she'd shared, the tears she'd cried, the hand holding, the kiss, he continued, reading her expression. "That wasn't your first time touching me, was it, Esther?" "I should go." She turned toward the door, but he moved with shocking speed, blocking her path. This close, she could see the sharp intelligence in his eyes, the dangerous edge beneath the beautiful exterior. "Do you know what kept me sane?" His voice dropped to a near whisper. Your voice, your touch. In that darkness, you were my only light." "Mr. Jin, Woo Jin," he corrected. "And we're far past formalities, don't you think?" Her pulse raced. "I need to call someone. The medical team needs to know." "They can't know, not yet." "Why not?" His expression hardened. "Because whoever put me in that coma is still out there, and the moment they learn I'm awake, they'll try again. Successfully this time." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. "You were poisoned," Esther realized. "That's what the chart said, unknown toxin." "Not unknown to me." Woo Jin's jaw clenched. "I know exactly who did this, but I can't prove it yet, and if they discover I've survived, they'll kill you." "Yes." Esther's mind raced. This was insane. She should run, call security, do literally anything except stand here conspiring with a man who... "You said you were conscious," she interrupted. "How is that possible?" "Locked-in syndrome, a variant at least." He leaned against the door, blocking her exit. "The poison didn't kill me, but it paralyzed every voluntary muscle. I could think, feel, process everything, but I couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even blink." The horror of it made her stomach turn. 3 years, she whispered, trapped in your own body. "Until you kissed me." His gaze burned into hers. "Something about your touch, it's different. From the first time you held my hand, I felt it. A warmth, a connection. My fingers twitched imperceptibly, but they moved. You brought me back, Esther, piece by piece." "This couldn't be real." "That's not medically possible. Neither is surviving 3 years in a coma without muscle atrophy." He gestured to himself. "Yet here I am, and here you are, the woman who saved me without knowing it." I didn't save you, I just talked to you sometimes. You did more than talk. Woo Jin stepped closer, and Esther's back hit the wall. You cared. You saw me as human when everyone else saw a vegetable to be maintained. You gave me hope. His proximity made thinking difficult. He smelled like hospital soap, and something uniquely him, dark and intoxicating. What do you want from me? She managed. A deal. What kind of deal? I need time to recover, to investigate who poisoned me, to plan my next move. His hand came up, fingertips grazing her cheek with surprising gentleness. And I need you. Why me? Because your touch accelerates my recovery. I tested it during your visits. Every time you held my hand, adjusted my pillow, brushed my hair back. My body responded. Healing. Strengthening. You're my catalyst, Esther. That's insane. Is it? Kiss me again, right now, and tell me you don't feel it. She should refuse, should push him away, should. But curiosity and something deeper, something almost magnetic, made her rise on her toes. Their lips met, and electricity sparked through her veins. Warmth flooded her system, pooling in her chest before radiating outward. And she could feel it, his heartbeat synchronizing with hers, his breathing deepening, his body responding to hers like a lock to a key. When they broke apart, Woo Jin's eyes gleamed with triumph. You feel it, he stated, not a question. I don't understand. Neither do I, but I know it's real. And I know that without you, I'll deteriorate again. The poison is still in my system, dormant but not dead. Your presence keeps it at bay. Esther's head spun. This is crazy. Crazy or not, it's the truth. His thumb traced her lower lip. I'm offering you a deal, Esther. Help me recover. Stay by my side. Be my companion. Companion. My wife. The word hit like a physical blow. Excuse me. Contract marriage, Woo Jin clarified, his tone businesslike despite the intimacy of their position. 1 year. You stay with me, provide the physical contact I need to fully heal, help me maintain the appearance of normalcy while I hunt my enemies. You're insane. I'm practical, and I'm offering you compensation. I don't want your money. $500,000. Esther's protest died in her throat. What? $500,000, paid in full at the end of our contract year. Woo Jin's expression was unreadable. Enough to pay off your debts, finish nursing school, start over. How did he know about her debts? You heard me talking. I heard everything, remember? I know about your mother, your financial situation, your dreams. He paused. I know you're drowning, Esther. I'm offering you a lifeline. It was too much, too fast. Why would you pay me that much just to? Because you're keeping me alive. Because I need you, and I always compensate people fairly for their services. His hand slid to her waist. And because I don't trust anyone else not to betray me to my enemies. You don't even know me. I know you better than you think. 3 years of listening to your deepest thoughts, remember? His voice softened fractionally. I know you're kind, loyal, desperate enough to take risks but moral enough to feel guilty about them. I know you're exactly what I need. Esther's mind whirled. $500,000, freedom from debt, a chance at the life she'd always wanted. But at what cost? This is blackmail. It's a transaction. You need money, I need you. Simple. Nothing about this is simple. Then let me simplify it. Woo Jin's eyes hardened. If you refuse, I'll disappear. Go underground while I hunt my enemies. And you'll stay here, cleaning hospital floors, drowning in debt, rejected from nursing school again and again until you give up completely. The words cut because they were true. But if you accept, he continued, voice dropping to velvet, you'll have everything you've ever wanted. Education, security, a fresh start. All you have to do is stay by my side for 12 months. And be your wife. In name only, unless you want more. Heat flooded her cheeks. I don't. Don't you? His thumb traced her racing pulse. Your body says otherwise, Esther, but I won't force anything. The physical contact I need doesn't require intimacy, just proximity, touch, your presence. This was insane. Completely, utterly insane. But when would she ever get another chance like this? I need time to think. You have 30 seconds. Woo Jin checked the expensive watch on his wrist. When had he put that on? In 60 seconds, the night shift changes. Someone will come to check on me. And once the hospital knows I'm awake, the information will leak. My enemies will know. And I'll be dead within 48 hours. You're being dramatic. Am I? 3 years ago, someone poisoned the head of the Jin family. Do you really think they'll hesitate to finish the job? The Jin family. Realization crashed over her. You're that Jin Woo Jin, the Mafia kingpin, yes. No shame, no hesitation. Now you understand the stakes. Esther's heart hammered against her ribs. She was talking to one of the most dangerous men in the city. A criminal. A killer, probably. She should run. 20 seconds, Esther. But $500,000. 10 seconds. A chance to finally breathe. 5. Freedom. Yes, she blurted. Okay, yes. Woo Jin's smile was triumphant and terrifying. Smart girl. He pulled a phone from somewhere. How long had he been planning this? And made a call. It's done, he said simply. Retrieve me, back entrance, 5 minutes. Then he hung up and turned to Esther, all business. Here's what happens now. You're going to leave through the front entrance like normal. In your locker, you'll find a bag with $10,000 cash, a new phone, and an address. Go there. Someone will be waiting. How did you? I've been planning this for months, waiting for the right moment. His gaze softened fractionally. Waiting for the right person. You're insane. Perhaps, but you said yes. He caught her chin, tilting her face up. No backing out now, Esther. You're mine for the next year. The possessiveness in his tone should have frightened her. Instead, it sent heat spiraling through her veins. I haven't signed anything. You will. He leaned down, his lips brushing her ear. Because deep down you want this. You want to matter to someone, to be necessary, to be seen. He was right, and she hated that he was right. Now go, Woo Jin ordered, before someone comes. Esther stumbled toward the door, her mind a chaotic mess of fear and exhilaration. Esther. She turned back. His expression was unreadable in the dim light. Thank you for everything, for keeping me sane when I had nothing else. The sincerity in his voice made her chest ache. Then he smiled, sharp and dangerous. Now hurry, our new life is waiting. Esther's hands shook as she opened her locker in the staff break room. This was crazy. She should go to the police, tell someone what was happening. But when she pulled open the metal door, a sleek black bag sat inside, exactly where Woo Jin had said it would be. Oh God, this is really happening. She unzipped it with trembling fingers. Stacks of $100 bills, a brand new smartphone, and a card with an address written in elegant script. 1247 Riverside Terrace, penthouse, come alone. Esther grabbed the bag, shoved it into her purse, and fled the hospital like the devil himself was chasing her. Maybe he was. The address led to the most expensive building in the city, all glass and steel and opulence. The doorman took one look at her rumpled scrubs and exhausted face and frowned. Can I help you? I'm here for the penthouse. His expression shifted instantly, professional, respectful. Of course, Mr. Jin is expecting you. He gestured to the private elevator. Esther stepped inside, her reflection staring back at her from the mirrored walls. She looked terrified, overwhelmed. What are you doing? But the elevator was already rising. The doors opened directly into a sprawling penthouse that looked like something from a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, modern furniture, art that probably cost more than she'd earn in a lifetime. And there, standing by the window, was Woo Jin. He'd changed into black slacks and a crisp white shirt, looking every inch the powerful man he was. No trace of the hospital patient remained. You came, he said, turning to face her. Did I have a choice? Everyone has a choice, Esther. You made yours. A woman materialized from another room, 50s, sharp-eyed, immaculately dressed. "This is Mrs. Kang," Wu Jin introduced. "My head of household, she'll help you get settled." "Settled? You live here now, with me." Right, because they were getting married. This was insane. "Mrs. Kang approached with a warm smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Welcome, Miss Esther. I've prepared the guest suite for you." "Guest suite," Esther repeated numbly. "Unless you'd prefer to share my room," Wu Jin offered, his tone suggesting he was only half joking. "Guest suite is fine." His low chuckle sent shivers down her spine. Mrs. Kang led her down a hallway to a bedroom that was bigger than Esther's entire apartment. King-sized bed, private bathroom, a walk-in closet filled with clothes, her size somehow. "How did you?" "Mr. Jin is very thorough," Mrs. Kang said simply. "Dinner is at 7. The contract will be reviewed at 8. Do you have any questions?" "About $1 million. "No," Esther managed. Mrs. Kang nodded and left, closing the door softly behind her. Esther sank onto the bed, her entire body trembling. "What have I done?" A knock sounded. "Come in," she called weakly. Wu Jin entered, closing the door behind him. In the soft bedroom lighting, he looked almost human, almost safe. "Having second thoughts?" he asked. "100 thoughts, more like." He crossed to her, sitting on the bed close enough that their knees touched. "I know this is overwhelming, but I meant what I said. I won't hurt you, Esther. This arrangement benefits us both." "You're a criminal." "Yes." No denial, no excuses. "And you expect me to just be okay with that?" "I expect you to fulfill your end of our bargain. What you think of me personally is irrelevant." The coldness in his tone stung. But then his hand covered hers, warm and grounding. "That said, I'd prefer if you didn't hate me." "Why?" "Because hatred creates distance, and I need you close." There it was again, that raw need in his voice. "You said my touch helps you heal," Esther ventured. "Why? How?" "I don't know, but I intend to find out." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "The poison that nearly killed me is unlike anything medical science has seen. The doctors couldn't identify it, couldn't treat it, but somehow you counteract it." "That's impossible." "So is a man waking from a 3-year coma at full strength. Yet here I am." He lifted her hand to his chest, pressing it over his heart. "Feel that?" His heartbeat was strong, steady, alive. "When you're near, it's stronger. When you touch me, it's like fire in my veins, life, power, everything I lost coming back." Esther stared at their joined hands. "And if I leave, if I break the contract?" His expression darkened. "Then I'll likely deteriorate and die." "So I'm your life support." "You're my cure." The weight of it settled over her like a physical thing. "This is too much responsibility." "Which is why I'm paying you $500,000. Wu Jin's voice turned businesslike. "In addition to the salary, you'll have access to a monthly allowance, 20,000. 20 what? For expenses, clothes, entertainment, whatever you need." "That's insane." "That's non-negotiable. You're going to be my wife, Esther. You'll attend events with me, meet dangerous people, play a role, you need to look the part." Reality crashed down. "I'm going to be a mafia wife." "Contract mafia wife," he corrected. "For 1 year, then you're free." Free and rich, and able to finally live. It should have felt like victory. So why did her chest ache? "What if someone finds out it's fake?" she asked. "They won't, because we're going to sell it completely." Wu Jin's gaze intensified. "Which means you need to convince everyone that you're desperately in love with me." "I don't even know you." "Then get to know me. We have time." He stood, pulling her to her feet. "Starting now, dinner, just us. Talk to me like you did in the hospital." "That was different." "Why? Because you thought I couldn't hear you." His smile was knowing. "I'm the same man, Esther. I just can finally respond." He led her to the dining room, where Mrs. Kang had set an intimate table for 2. The food smelled incredible. Korean dishes mixed with Western fare. I didn't know what you liked, Woo-jin admitted, so I had her prepare everything. The gesture was unexpectedly thoughtful. They ate in silence for a while, the tension thick enough to cut. Finally, Esther couldn't take it anymore. Tell me about yourself. If I'm going to pretend to be your wife, I should know basic things. What do you want to know? Everything. Start with why someone wanted you dead. His jaw tightened. That's a long story. We have all night. Woo-jin studied her for a long moment, then set down his fork. My family controls most of the city's underground operations. Gambling, protection, import-export. We're not good people, Esther, but we have rules, honor in our own way. And someone broke those rules. Someone wanted to take over. 3 years ago, I was arrogant, trusting. I thought loyalty meant something. Bitterness laced his words. I was poisoned at my own engagement party. Esther's heart stuttered. Engagement? To a woman I didn't love, political marriage, merging families. He met her gaze. She's dead now, killed in the chaos after my collapse. I'm sorry. Don't be. I didn't love her, and she likely knew about the poisoning. The casual way he discussed death chilled her. Do you know who did it? I have suspicions. My cousin, my former second-in-command, maybe both. His hands clenched. But I need proof before I can act. In my world, accusations without evidence mean war. So what's your plan? Recover fully, investigate quietly, then strike when they least expect it. His smile was predatory. And you're going to help me. How? By being my eyes and ears, my innocent, sweet wife who nobody suspects. Woo-jin reached across the table, taking her hand. They'll underestimate you, and that will be their mistake. Esther's pulse raced. You want me to spy? I want you to observe, listen, report back nothing dangerous. Everything about this was dangerous. And if I refuse? You won't. His thumb stroked her knuckles. Because you're already in too deep, and because deep down you want to be part of something bigger than yourself. He was right again, damn him. I hate that you can read me so easily, she muttered. I had 3 years to study you, remember? I know every expression, every tell. He brought her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her palm. I know when you're scared, when you're curious, when you're lying to yourself about what you want. Heat flooded her face. And what do I want? To matter, to be essential to someone, to be seen as more than just a struggling hospital aide drowning in debt. The accuracy of it made her chest tight. You're wrong. Am I? Woo-jin stood, rounding the table until he loomed over her. Then why are you still here, Esther? Why haven't you run? Because he was right. Because for the first time in years, someone needed her. Because when he looked at her, she didn't feel invisible. I hate you, she whispered. No, you don't. He cupped her face, tilting it up. But you're afraid of me. Good, fear will keep you careful. Then he kissed her. Not gentle this time, demanding, possessive, claiming her mouth like he had every right. And God help her, Esther kissed him back. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Woo-jin's eyes blazed with satisfaction. 1 year, he murmured against her lips. Stay with me, help me be mine. Just for the contract, Esther managed. Of course, just the contract. But the way he looked at her suggested he had no intention of letting her go when the year ended. And the terrifying part, Esther wasn't sure she wanted him to. The contract arrived at exactly 8:00 p.m. Esther sat in Woo-jin's study, all dark wood and leather, smelling of expensive whiskey and danger, staring at the document that would bind her life to his for the next 12 months. A lawyer stood nearby, young, sharp-suited, terrified. Everything is in order, Mr. Jin, the man said, his voice carefully neutral. Standard non-disclosure agreements, financial compensation schedule, and termination clauses. Termination clauses. Esther's voice came out smaller than she intended. Woo-jin leaned against his desk, arms crossed, watching her with those dark, knowing eyes. In case either party wishes to dissolve the marriage early, though I wouldn't recommend it. The unspoken threat hung in the air. "What happens if I want out?" she pressed. "You forfeit the payment and the protection." "Protection from what?" "From the people who'll want to hurt you once they know you're mine." He said it so casually, like he was discussing the weather. "My enemies don't discriminate, Esther. Wife, contract, or otherwise, you're a target now." Her stomach dropped. "You didn't mention that part." "I'm mentioning it now. Sign the contract and you're under my protection. Break it and you're on your own." His expression didn't change. "Choose." The lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Esther picked up the pen with trembling fingers, scanning the dense legal text. Financial terms, living arrangements, public appearance requirements, and there on page 7. "Physical contact clause," she read aloud. "Required daily physical contact to maintain my recovery," Woojin explained. "Minimum 2 hours. Can be fulfilled through hand-holding, proximity during sleep, or other means." Heat crept up her neck. "Other means." His smile was wicked. "Use your imagination." "This is insane." "This is survival, mine and by extension yours." He pushed off the desk, moving behind her chair. His hands settled on her shoulders, warm and grounding. "Sign, Esther. Stop overthinking." She should read every word, should have her own lawyer review it. But the weight of his hands, the certainty in his voice, the desperate need for the life he was offering, it all crashed over her. Esther signed. "Excellent." Woojin's grip tightened fractionally, almost possessive. "Welcome to the family, Mrs. Jin." The title sent shivers down her spine. The lawyer gathered the documents with visible relief and practically fled the room. Alone now. The silence stretched, heavy with implications. "So," Esther ventured, standing to face him, "what happens now?" "Now," Woojin circled her slowly, predatory. "Now we establish our routine, starting with the most important clause. The physical contact requirement." "Smart girl." He stopped in front of her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his gaze. 2 hours, daily, non-negotiable. "And if I don't?" "I deteriorate, the poison resurfaces, I die." Simple, brutal, true. "So you will, Esther, because despite your fear, you're not cruel enough to let me suffer." He was right, damn him. "Fine, but I choose how we." "No," his hand caught her chin. "I choose because I know what works, what my body needs." "That's not fair." "Life isn't fair, but I'm generous." His thumb traced her lower lip. "I won't push you into anything you're truly not ready for, but don't test me, Esther. I've waited 3 years to feel alive again. I'm not patient anymore." The raw hunger in his eyes made her breath catch. "Starting tonight," Woojin continued, "you sleep in my room." "What? No." "Not negotiable. Proximity during sleep counts toward the contact requirement, and I need you close." "The guest room is 20 feet away." 20 feet might as well be 20 miles. My body responds to nearness, remember." He released her chin, stepping back. "You'll have your own side of the bed. I won't touch you unless you ask me to." The unless hung between them, loaded with possibility. This is moving too fast. "We don't have the luxury of slow. My enemies are already circling." Woojin's expression hardened. "Tomorrow, we make our first public appearance, a charity gala. The entire criminal underworld will be watching." "Tomorrow?" "Strike while they're off balance. They think I'm still comatose. Appearing with a wife will shock them, confuse them, give me the advantage." Esther's head spun. "I don't know how to act like a Mafia wife." "Then I'll teach you," he offered his hand. "Starting now, come." Against her better judgment, she took it. His fingers laced with hers, warm and sure, and that strange electricity sparked again. Woojin's eyes darkened, and she knew he felt it too. "What is that?" she whispered. "I don't know, but it's why you're here." He led her through the penthouse to the master bedroom. The space was masculine, dark colors, minimal decoration, dominated by a massive bed that suddenly seemed far too intimate. "I'll sleep on the couch," Esther started. "You'll sleep in the bed with me." Wu Jin released her hand, moving to his closet. I had Mrs. Kang's stock sleepwear for you. Choose something comfortable. He said it so matter-of-factly, like sharing a bed with a stranger was perfectly normal. Maybe in his world it was. Esther found the sleepwear, expensive silk pajamas in soft neutrals. She changed in the bathroom, her reflection in the mirror showing a woman she barely recognized. Flushed cheeks, wide eyes, looking like someone about to make a terrible mistake. When she emerged, Wu Jin had changed into black sleep pants and nothing else. Esther's gaze snagged on his chest, defined muscles, a few scars, the kind of body that belonged to someone who'd fought and survived. See something you like. His tone was amused. I know, she scrambled into the bed, putting maximum distance between them. This is professional, just the contract. Of course. He slid in beside her, and the mattress dipped under his weight. Just the contract. But when he reached out, pulling her against his chest, there was nothing professional about it. What are you doing? Esther tried to pull away. Fulfilling the contact requirement. His arm banded around her waist, holding her captive. Relax, I'm not going to hurt you. This is necessary. His breath stirred her hair, and if you're honest, not entirely unpleasant. It wasn't. That was the problem. Being held like this, protected, wanted, necessary, it filled an ache she'd carried for years. Why me? She whispered into the darkness. You could have anyone, why a nobody hospital aide? Wu Jin was quiet for so long, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, because you saw me as human when I was nothing, because your touch brought me back from hell, because, he paused, because in 3 years of listening to your voice, I grew to care about you. Her heart stuttered. You don't even know me. I know you better than anyone, your fears, your dreams, your late-night confessions. His arm tightened. I know you're stronger than you think, kinder than you should be, and desperate enough to take a chance on a monster. You're not a monster. Aren't I? Bitter, self-aware. I've killed people, Esther, ordered deaths, built an empire on violence and fear. What would you call that? She should be horrified. Should pull away. But his honesty, the raw admission of what he was, somehow made him more real, more trustworthy than false nobility would have. I'd call it survival, she said finally, in a world that doesn't play fair. His chest rumbled with dark laughter. Careful, Mrs. Jin, you're starting to sound like you understand me. Maybe I do. Then you're more dangerous than I thought. They lay in silence, his heartbeat steady against her back. Tell me about the gala tomorrow, Esther said, needing to focus on something concrete. What do I need to know? Everything. Wu Jin shifted, his lips near her ear. The Kim family will be there. They control the docks. The park syndicate handles gambling. The Choi organization runs protection rackets. All of them want what I have. All of them would kill me if they thought they could get away with it. And you're just going to walk in there. With my beautiful wife on my arm, yes. His hand splayed across her stomach, possessive. You're my shield, Esther. They won't expect me to bring someone I care about into danger. It makes me look confident, untouchable. Do you care about me? The question slipped out before she could stop it. Wu Jin went very still. What do you think? I think you need me. That's not the same thing. No, he agreed. It's not. But he didn't elaborate, and Esther didn't push. Eventually, exhaustion claimed her, and she drifted off in the arms of a man who was either her salvation or her doom. She couldn't tell which. Morning came with sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the scent of coffee. Esther woke alone. She found Wu Jin in the kitchen, shirtless again, making breakfast like he hadn't just slept with a virtual stranger. You cook, she blurted. I had 3 years to plan what I'd do when I woke up. Cooking ranked high. He slid a plate toward her, perfectly made eggs, toast, fruit. Eat, we have a long day. What kind of long day? Preparation. Mrs. Kang will help you get ready for tonight. Hair, makeup, wardrobe, you need to look the part. The part of what? A woman worth dying for. His gaze locked on hers. Because that's what I'm telling the world, that I love you enough to risk everything. The words should have been romantic. Instead, they felt like a noose tightening. And what do I tell them? That I'm your everything, that you'd follow me into hell. He set down his coffee. Can you do that, Esther? Can you lie convincingly enough to keep us both alive? She thought of the debt collectors, the rejection letters, the endless, crushing weight of being nobody. Yes, she said, I can lie. His smile was approval in something darker. Good girl. Mrs. Kang descended like a benevolent tyrant. Arms up, she commanded, measuring Esther with the precision of a general planning war. The guest room had transformed into a styling suite. Racks of designer dresses, shelves of shoes, a makeup station that belonged in a salon. Mr. Jin wants you perfect, Mrs. Kang explained, pulling out a stunning black gown. This one, it says power without trying too hard. Esther touched the fabric silk, impossibly soft. This must cost more than you want to know, but Mr. Jin doesn't do anything halfway. Mrs. Kang's expression softened. He's different since he woke up. Lighter, you're good for him. I'm just fulfilling a contract. Are you? The older woman's knowing look made Esther flush. I've worked for the Jin family for 20 years. I know when something is real. It's not. Tell yourself that if it helps, but I see how he looks at you. Mrs. Kang gestured to the chair. Now sit, we have work to do. The transformation took hours. Hair styled in elegant waves, makeup dramatic but tasteful, the black gown fitting like it had been made for her, because it had been, Esther realized. Wu Jin had planned everything. When she finally looked in the mirror, a stranger stared back. Beautiful, confident, dangerous. A woman who belonged at a Mafia kingpin's side. Perfect, Mrs. Kang declared. Mr. Jin will be pleased. As if summoned, Wu Jin appeared in the doorway. He dressed in a tailored black suit that made him look like sin incarnate, dark hair styled back, eyes sharp, every inch the powerful man he was. But when he saw Esther, something flickered in his expression, surprise, heat, possession. You're stunning, he said, voice rough. It's the dress. It's you, he crossed to her, his hands settling on her waist, ready to face the wolves. No. His laugh was low. Honest, good, fear will keep you sharp. He produced a small box. One more thing. Inside was a ring, a massive diamond surrounded by smaller stones, antique and breathtaking. It was my grandmother's, Wu Jin said, sliding it onto her finger. Now it's yours. The weight of it felt like a shackle. For the year, Esther clarified. Of course, just the year. But his thumb stroked over the ring, possessive, like he was marking her as his. The car is waiting, Mrs. Kang announced from the doorway. Time to go. The gala was held at the Grand Belmore Hotel, old money elegance mixed with new world decadence. Esther's hand trembled on Wu Jin's arm as they approached the entrance. Breathe, he murmured. You belong here with me. I'm a hospital aide playing dress-up. You're my wife. That makes you untouchable. His grip tightened. And if anyone suggests otherwise, I'll destroy them. The casual violence in his tone should have frightened her. Instead, it made her feel safe. They entered together, and the room fell silent. Every head turned, every conversation stopped. Wu Jin, the man who'd been in a coma for 3 years, had returned, and he'd brought a queen. Well, Wu Jin said softly, we certainly made an entrance. A man approached, 50s, silver-haired, exuding authority. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Wu Jin, what a surprise, we'd heard you were indisposed. Uncle, Wu Jin's tone was pleasant, but Esther felt the tension in his frame. Rumors of my demise were greatly exaggerated. Clearly, the man's gaze slid to Esther, assessing. And who is this lovely creature? My wife, Esther Jin. The title still felt foreign on her tongue. Wife, the man's surprise was evident. How? Unexpected. I wasn't aware you'd recovered enough to marry the woman I love. Yes, I've made a remarkable recovery. Wu Jin pulled Esther closer. Esther, this is my uncle, Jin Hyun-sik. He's been managing family affairs in my absence. The words were cordial. The subtext was knives. A pleasure, Esther managed, offering her hand. Hyun-sik kissed it, his lips cold against her skin. The pleasure is mine, though I must ask, how did you two meet? At the hospital, Woo-jin answered smoothly. Esther was my aide. She cared for me when no one else would. I fell in love with her voice first, then everything else. The lie rolled off his tongue like truth. How romantic, Hyun-sik said, but his eyes were calculating. And now you're well enough to reclaim your position. More than well enough. Woo-jin's smile was sharp. In fact, I'm feeling better than ever, ready to resume full control. The threat was clear. Hyun-sik's expression flickered, just for a moment, before smoothing back into pleasant neutrality. Of course, the family will be relieved to have you back. I'm sure. Woo-jin's hand slid to the small of Esther's back. If you'll excuse us, Uncle, I'd like to introduce my wife to the rest of our associates. They moved away, but Esther felt Hyun-sik's gaze burning into her back. That's him, isn't it? She whispered. Your prime suspect. One of them. Woo-jin's jaw clenched. He's been running my empire for 3 years, won't want to give it back. He looked dangerous. He is, which is why we need to be more dangerous. He led her through the crowd, introducing her to a parade of criminals dressed in designer suits. Each handshake felt like a test. Each smile hid knives. But Esther played her part. Devoted wife, loving companion, woman too naive to understand the darkness around her. It was exhausting. When they finally escaped to a quiet balcony, Esther sagged against the railing. I can't do this, she breathed. I'm not. You're doing perfectly. Woo-jin stood behind her, his hands on her shoulders. Better than I expected. They all want you dead. Yes. And they think I'm weak, vulnerable. Good, let them. His lips brushed her ear. Underestimating you is their first mistake. Esther turned to face him, the city lights glittering behind her. What's their second? Believing I'd ever let anything happen to you. His hand cupped her face. You're mine now, Esther, contract or not, and I protect what's mine. The possessiveness should have annoyed her. Instead, it made her feel cherished. You don't own me, she said, but it lacked conviction. Don't I? His thumb traced her lips. You wear my ring, sleep in my bed, carry my name. What would you call that? A business arrangement. Is it? He leaned closer, his breath mingling with hers. Then why is your heart racing? Why do you lean into my touch instead of pulling away? Because he was right. Because despite everything, the danger, the lies, the criminal empire, she was drawn to him like gravity. This is insane, she whispered. Probably. His lips hovered over hers, but you're still here. Before she could respond, footsteps sounded. Woo-jin pulled back, his expression shifting to alert. A woman emerged onto the balcony, late 20s, beautiful in a cold, calculated way. Her dress was red. Her smile was venom. Woo-jin, she purred. I heard you were back, brought a little pet too, I see. Esther bristled, but Woo-jin's hand on her waist kept her steady. Min-jae, his tone was ice, still lurking in shadows. Still collecting information for the highest bidder. The woman's gaze raked over Esther. Who's the girl? She's nobody. No family, no connections, just a hospital aide with debts. How did she know? Careful, Woo-jin warned. That's my wife you're insulting. Min-jae laughed. Wife, you expect anyone to believe you married for love. You don't have a heart, Woo-jin, just ambition. People change. Not people like us. She stepped closer, ignoring Esther entirely. 3 years in a coma and you wake up married to a nobody. There's an angle here. I'll find it. Good luck with that. Woo-jin's smile was predatory. Now leave, before I remind you what happens to people who threaten what's mine. Min-jae's expression flickered with uncertainty. Then she turned and left, her heels clicking against marble. When they were alone again, Esther exhaled shakily. She knows. She suspects different thing. Woo-jin pulled her close. But she's right about one thing, you're my weakness now. Anyone who wants to hurt me will come for you first. Then maybe I should leave. No, the word cracked like a whip. You're safer with me than anywhere else. Trust that if nothing else. Esther looked up at him, this dangerous, complicated man who'd woven her into his web. Why do you care so much? You're not just anything. His intensity burned. You're the woman who kept me sane, who brought me back, who made me feel human again. He leaned his forehead against hers. Don't diminish that. The moment stretched, intimate despite the danger. Then, an explosion rocked the building. Glass shattered, screams erupted. Woo Jin's arms came around her, shielding her body with his as debris rained down. What? Get down! He pushed her against the wall, covering her completely. More explosions. Gunfire. This wasn't a gala anymore. It was war. Woo Jin pulled a gun from somewhere. When had he armed himself? And returned fire toward figures emerging from the smoke. Stay behind me, he ordered. Who's shooting? Everyone, probably. His smile was feral. My return just upset a lot of carefully laid plans. A bullet whizzed past, too close. Woo Jin fired back, dropping a man Esther didn't recognize. She should be horrified. Instead, survival instinct kicked in. The exit, she started. Blocked, they planned this. Woo Jin assessed their options with tactical precision. We go up, roof access. He grabbed her hand, pulling her through chaos. Bodies littered the floor, some dead, some dying. The beautiful gala had become a massacre. Esther stumbled over her heels. Take them off, Woo Jin commanded. She kicked off the designer shoes, running barefoot through blood and glass. They reached a service stairwell, climbing as more gunfire echoed below. Who wants you dead this badly? Esther gasped. Shorter list would be who doesn't. Woo Jin didn't slow, his grip on her hand unyielding. But this level of coordination, my uncle, has to be. Your own family. Family means nothing in my world. Only power matters. They burst onto the roof. Cold air slapped Esther's face. Woo Jin pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. Extraction in 2 minutes. Extraction. Did you think I came unprepared? He positioned her behind an air conditioning unit. Stay here, don't move. Where are you? The roof access door exploded open. Men poured out, armed, dangerous, focused on Woo Jin. He met them with brutal efficiency. Esther watched in horrified fascination as he fought, each movement precise, deadly, beautiful in its violence. This was who he really was, not the man who made her breakfast, the killer who'd built an empire on fear. But when one attacker got too close to Esther, Woo Jin moved like lightning, putting himself between them, taking a bullet to the shoulder without flinching. He protected her. Even bleeding, even outnumbered, he protected her. The sound of helicopter blades cut through the night. There's our ride. Woo Jin grabbed her, running for the edge of the building. A helicopter descended, door open, a man in tactical gear reaching out. Jump, Woo Jin commanded. Are you insane? Trust me. More gunfire. No choice. Esther jumped. Strong hands caught her, pulling her into the helicopter. Then Woo Jin followed, landing beside her as the aircraft lifted away from the chaos. Below, the hotel burned. Esther shook violently, adrenaline crashing. Woo Jin pulled her against his chest, his shirt wet with blood from his shoulder wound. You're hurt. Flesh wound, I'm fine. His arms tightened. Are you okay? Define okay. His laugh was strained. Fair point. The helicopter banked, heading toward unknown safety. Esther looked up at him, this man who'd literally taken a bullet for her. You saved me, she said. Of course I did. His gaze was fierce. You're mine to protect. The contract. Fuck the contract. The raw emotion in his voice stole her breath. You think I'm doing this just because you helped me heal? You think I'd risk everything? my life, my empire, my sanity for some medical anomaly. Then why? Wu Jin cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. Because in 3 years of darkness, you were my only light. Because I listened to you pour your heart out night after night and fell in love with your soul before I ever saw your face. Because you're the only real thing in my world of lies. You can't love me. You barely know me. I know everything that matters. His thumb wiped away tears she didn't realize she'd shed. And yes, I do. The confession hung between them, impossible and terrifying and real. This is insane, Esther whispered. I've already established that I'm insane, his lips curved, but I'm yours if you'll have me. She should say no, should run the moment they landed, should. But she kissed him instead. Desperate, hungry, claiming him the way he'd claimed her. When they broke apart, Wu Jin's eyes blazed with triumph and something softer. Does this mean? It means I'm in, Esther said. All in, contract be damned. His smile was devastating. Careful, Mrs. Jin, you're starting to sound like you love me back. Maybe I am, she admitted. Or maybe I'm just as insane as you. Probably both. He kissed her again, gentler this time. But we'll be insane together. The helicopter carried them into the night, leaving chaos behind. But as Esther settled against Wu Jin's chest, feeling his heartbeat strong and alive beneath her palm, she knew the real chaos was just beginning. Because loving a monster came with consequences. And she was about to discover just how deep those consequences ran. They landed at a private airfield outside the city. Wu Jin's wound was treated by a doctor who asked no questions, clearly accustomed to patching up criminals. You need rest, the doctor said. The bullet missed anything vital, but you've lost blood. I'm fine. Wu Jin waved him off, focused on Esther. Are you sure you're not hurt? I'm sure, but she couldn't stop shaking. He pulled her close, and that strange warmth flooded through her again, stronger this time, almost electric. Wu Jin's eyes widened. Do you feel that? Yes, what is it? I don't know, but he pressed his hand over his heart. The poison, it's retreating, faster than usual. Because I'm touching you. Because you love me. The certainty in his voice was absolute. That's the cure, Esther, not just contact, love, real, genuine emotion. That's impossible. So is everything else about this situation. He caught her face. The poison was designed to feed on isolation, loneliness, disconnection, but love, real love, it's the antidote. Esther's mind reeled. Who would create something like that? Someone who understood my greatest weakness. His expression darkened. I've spent my life alone, trusting no one, connecting to nothing, the perfect prison. But if love is the cure, realization dawned, then your uncle knew when he poisoned you, he knew you'd never let anyone close enough to save me. Yes, Wu Jin's jaw clenched. He planned for me to die slowly, trapped and aware, the ultimate revenge. For what? For being my father's heir instead of him. Simple, brutal, family. In our world, succession is everything, and he wanted what I had. So he tried to kill you. And he failed because of you. Wu Jin's gaze intensified. You loved me when I was nothing, when I couldn't love you back. You saved me without even knowing it. The weight of it crashed over her. I didn't know I loved you until tonight, when you chose me over safety, over sense, over everything else. His smile was soft. I know, I felt it, the exact moment your heart changed. This is too much. It's everything. He kissed her forehead. And now that I know the cure, I can finish healing, can hunt the people who did this. Can. Die, the voice came from the shadows. Esther spun. Hyun-sik emerged, flanked by armed men. I have to admit, nephew, your survival instinct is impressive, but it ends here. Wu Jin shifted, putting Esther behind him. Uncle, I wondered when you'd show yourself. Why hide? The hotel attack failed, but this... Hyun-sik gestured to their isolated location. Perfect. No witnesses, no escape, just family business. You poisoned me. I did, with a toxin designed specifically for you, feeding on your inability to love, to connect, to be human. His smile was cruel. I studied you for years, Wu Jin. I knew your weakness. And I knew yours. Wu Jin's hand moved to his concealed weapon. Arrogance. He fired. Chaos erupted. But Hyun-sik had planned better this time. His men swarmed, and even Wu Jin couldn't fight them all, especially weakened from his shoulder wound. Esther screamed as they subdued him, forcing him to his knees. No, she lunged forward, but someone grabbed her, holding her back. Hyun-sik approached Wu Jin, gun raised. Any last words, nephew? Yes, Wu Jin looked past him to Esther. I love you, remember that. How touching. Hyun-sik's finger tightened on the trigger. Goodbye. Esther moved. Pure instinct, pure desperation. She threw herself at Wu Jin, covering his body with hers. The gunshot rang out. Pain exploded in her side. Wu Jin's roar of fury was the last thing she heard before darkness claimed her. Esther woke to whiteness. Not heaven, not death. A hospital room, again. But this time, strong fingers were laced through hers, warm and alive and refusing to let go. Wu Jin, she whispered, her voice cracked and raw. His head snapped up from where he'd been resting it against their joined hands. Relief crashed across his features, raw, unguarded, devastating. You're awake. He stood, leaning over her, his free hand cupping her face with trembling gentleness. Thank God, Esther, you. I got shot. Memory flooded back. The airfield, Hyun-sik, throwing herself in front of Wu Jin. Your uncle. Dead. The word was flat, final. I killed him myself the moment you hit the ground. His eyes told the story his words didn't. The rage, the violence, the absolute destruction he'd unleashed. And his men. Also dead, all of them. Wu Jin's jaw clenched. No one hurts you in lives, no one. The possessiveness should have frightened her. Instead, it made her feel cherished. How long was I out? 4 days. The bullet punctured your lung, but the surgery was successful. His thumb traced her cheekbone. 4 days of watching you fight for your life, of wondering if I'd lose the only person who ever truly saw me. Tears burned her eyes. I couldn't let him kill you. So you took the bullet instead. You incredible, infuriating, brave woman. He leaned down, pressing his forehead to hers. Don't ever do that again. Can't promise that. His laugh was strained. Of course you can't. They stayed like that for a long moment, just breathing together, alive together. Finally, Esther had to ask, the poison, are you? Cured, wonder threaded through his voice. Completely. The moment you threw yourself in front of me, the moment your love became undeniable action, it burned the poison out of my system entirely. The doctors confirmed it. Whatever toxin was in me, it's gone. Because I love you. Because you love me enough to die for me. His eyes blazed. That kind of love, it's more powerful than any poison, any weapon, any enemy. Esther's chest ached, from the wound, from emotion, from the impossibility of everything. So what happens now? Wu Jin straightened, his expression shifting to something darker, dangerous. Now I reclaim my empire. With Hyun-sik dead, the family falls back into line. Those who supported his coup will be dealt with. Those who remained loyal will be rewarded. And me. His gaze softened immediately. You stay exactly where you are, by my side, as my wife. The contract. I'm tearing it up. He produced the document from his jacket, creased and blood-stained, and ripped it in half. No more contracts, no more conditions, just us, if you'll have me. Her heart stuttered. Are you proposing for real this time? I'm saying I love you, Esther, not because you cure me, not because I need you to survive, but because in 3 years of darkness, you were the only light worth fighting for. He pulled a different ring from his pocket, simpler than his grandmother's, but somehow more beautiful. Marry me, not for a year, not for money, but because you want to build a life with a man who's probably going to frustrate you and endanger you and love you with everything he has. She should think about it, should consider the danger, the criminal life, the reality of loving a mafia kingpin. But Esther had learned something in the past week. Sometimes the craziest decisions were the rightest ones. "Yes," she said. "Yes, you infuriating, possessive, beautiful disaster of a man. I'll marry you, for real this time." His smile could have lit the entire city. He slid the ring onto her finger, next to his grandmother's, which she'd never taken off, and kissed her with a tenderness that belied his dangerous reputation. When they broke apart, Esther had one more question. "What about my debt, nursing school, my old life?" "Your debt is paid. I took care of it the day you signed the contract." Woo Jin's expression was matter-of-fact. "As for nursing school, you're enrolled for next semester. Full scholarship, courtesy of a generous anonymous donation to their program." "You what? Did you think I'd let the woman I love struggle?" His thumb traced her lips. "Everything you wanted, Esther, education, security, freedom, it's yours, it always was." Tears spilled over. "I don't deserve." "You deserve everything." He kissed her forehead. "You saved me. You loved me when I was nothing. You took a bullet for me. If anything, I don't deserve you." "We're both idiots then." "Perfect idiots, together." She laughed through her tears, and it felt like coming home. 6 months later, Esther stood in front of her nursing class, answering questions about patient care with confidence she'd never had before. The wedding had been small, just Mrs. Kang, a few trusted family members, and a judge who didn't ask questions. No gala, no spectacle, just two people choosing each other. Her life had transformed completely. She lived in the penthouse, attended charity events, learned to navigate the dangerous world of her husband's empire with grace and steel. But she also went to nursing school, pursued her dreams, remained herself. Because Woo Jin didn't want to change her. He wanted her exactly as she was, strong, kind, brave, and his. That evening, she came home to find him in the kitchen, cooking dinner like he did most nights now. "How was class?" he asked, pulling her into his arms. "Good, I aced the exam." She kissed him. "How was your day of terrifying criminals and running an empire?" "Productive, only had to threaten 2 people, very restrained of me." She laughed. "My hero." "Always," his expression grew serious. "I have news." "Good or bad?" "Good, the last of Hyun-sik's supporters have been handled. The family is secure, unified, and entirely under my control again." "So it's over, the danger." "There's always danger in my world, but the immediate threats are gone." He cupped her face. "We're safe as we can be." Relief flooded through her. "Then we can actually live, build something real." "We already have." His hand moved to her stomach. "And we're about to build more." Esther froze. "What?" "You're pregnant, Esther. 2 months. I had my doctor confirm it when you mentioned feeling nauseous." "You, without telling me." "I wanted to be sure before I said anything." His smile was soft, odd. "We're having a baby." The words hung in the air, impossible and perfect. "A baby," she repeated. "In this life, with your enemies." "We'll never touch our child. I promise you that." His intensity burned. "I'll burn the world down before I let anyone harm our family." She believed him. And somehow, that made everything okay. "I love you," Esther whispered. "My dangerous, possessive, wonderful husband." "I love you," Woo Jin answered. "My brave, beautiful, perfect wife, the woman who woke me with a kiss and saved me with her heart." They stood together in their kitchen, holding each other as the city lights glittered outside. A hospital aide and a mafia kingpin. An impossible love. A dangerous cure. And a future they'd fight for together. Forever. The end. Wow, how did we go from a secret hospital kiss to dodging bullets on a rooftop to a baby? This story was wild from start to finish. If you're still here after all that chaos, smash that subscribe button because clearly you have excellent taste in romantic thrillers. But hold up, I need to know something important. Which moment had you screaming at your screen? Fire team contract. When Esther signed her life away for $500,000 and became Mrs. Mafia boss. Iconic behavior, honestly. Team sacrifice. When Esther literally jumped in front of a bullet because love makes you do crazy things, apparently. Drop team contract or team sacrifice in the comments right now. No judgment. Okay, maybe a little judgment. Also be honest, would you have signed that contract? Would you have taken that bullet? Because I'm still deciding. Let's argue about it in the comments. Catch you in the next story.